Hi everyone, today is Wednesday, January 18th, 2017. My name is Brian McInerney. I'm the hydrologist with the National Weather Service in Salt Lake City. This is the long version of the January water supply forecast. So let's get right to it. So when you look at our early winter scenario, the question was, what kind of year is it going to be? And the thing that jumped out at the meteorologist here, and this is December 7th, 2016, and if you look up near Russia, Siberia, this dark purple area indicates really cold air, and it goes into Alaska. So when you think of what's upstream, we had a lot of cold air. When you look at the sea surface temperatures, and this is the anomaly, what you see is this pool of blue by the western US, up by Canada and the Aleutians and Siberia. It's anomalously cold water, and as a result, this fueled a lot of the storms that we had this past year. The high pressure moved out, and this was really a good scenario. So when you look at the two, very cold air up by Siberia, Alaska, very cold water in the northern Pacific, the two of these combined to have the energy upstream from us, which is where you want it. Before, it used to be up in the northern Atlantic and by Hudson Bay above the Great Lakes. Not the case this year. It's out over the northern Pacific, and this is greatly advantageous for western weather. Now when you shift to the mid-January scenario, cold pool's still up in Siberia and Alaska upstream from us. When you look at the anomalous water in the northern Pacific, it's very cold. So this would bode well for our future storms. We're going to have high pressure ridging really maybe through the end of January, but this setup in the global atmospheric pattern still remains. It still remains positive. Understand there's many things that could happen, but I'm going with it. What do you say? We take a look at cold air, cold water, and it's upstream, lots of energy, and that could bode well for our future storm scenarios. When you look at February 10th of last year, high pressure ridging over the west. Here's the west coast. Here's Great Salt Lake. Here's Baja. Low pressure was out over the ocean, lots of energy, lots of storms, but then the high pressure parked over us and basically shunted the weather north of us. We didn't see it. We went into the tank as far as water supply goes. But now when you look at this year, the high pressure is down by Mexico. Not a problem. It's much smaller. It's not the dominant weather feature, and all of this flow is coming from Hawaii, which is an atmospheric river event. We've had 4 of these this year. We've also had low pressure storms coming off of the Aleutians, and we've got snowpacks 150% to 200% as a result. So when you look at the precip anomaly, and we'll look at the Great Basin from October through December, what we see is the northern basins, Bear and the Weaver, were above normal. And when you look at this graph, the cooler colors indicate above normal precip, the warmer colors indicate below average. Northern Utah did much better. Central Utah in the Great Basin, not so much in October. November, everything went dry. And then December, we had really good precip, really good storm activity in the Great Basin. And then we were off to the races due to some of those atmospheric river patterns, and then also the lows that were coming off of Alaska. When you move over to the Colorado Basin, what you see is most of the upper Colorado in October did very poorly, along with the Duchesne and parts down by Price. And then you look at November, more of the same, very dry November. But then you see December, and everything benefited from that progressive storm pattern that we had, and that's great. When you look at temperatures, we moved into this water year, and this is October, and temperatures were quite warm. This was a pattern we've seen really for the past 18 months to 2 years to 5 years. Warmer than normal is the way to go. We continue to break heat records, broke heat records all through the summer. Now we were in October, we were worried, and then it got warmer compared to average in November. And then you look at December, and that's when that pattern shift occurred. Storms were coming off of the Aleutians, off of the Pacific, bringing cold, moist air. So temperatures were much colder than normal. And then you look at parts of January, and much, much colder than average. So we'll go with that. Now our current snowpack as of January 18th, and these are our averages by basin with the NRCS SnowTel, and every SnowTel station in the Bear River drainage is average, and then compared to the blue line, which is average. Red is last year, Teal is 2011, and then green is the line where we are today. And right now, when we measure snow as a percent of median, 171% in the Bear. When you look at the Weber, 177% of median. And close to 2011. There's a lot that could happen, but it just gives you a reference where we are at this point in time. Six Creek's 153%. Utah Lake at 196. We'll take that. And then the Duchesne at 202. That's even better. We'll take that. And then the green above Fontenelle, 164% of median. 146% for the Lake Powell group, mostly into Colorado, what's coming out of there. Then the Sevier, 153%. And then the Virgin at 176%. So, you know, we're doing okay as far as snowpack through the state. Now let's get to the water supply forecast for January of 2017. And we'll start with the Bear, and we'll look at two stations there. The first at Woodruff Narrows Reservoir, and it's the official forecast is 110% of average. And if you look at the little middle blue line, the vertical red line is the actual forecast for the month, the official forecast. But the model guidance continues to go up as these storms have continued through mid-January. So if you can adjust your forecast, it would indicate on all of these that we continue to get storm activity. When you look at Stewart Dam, 159% of average at 290,000 acre feet, and it's going up since the official forecast. And that's a trend really through all of these. When we move down into the Weber Basin, this is what we see, and we'll look at 3 points there. And we'll start with Oakley, a headwater area, at 105% of average. Again, the forecast has gone up since then. When we look at East Canyon Reservoir, 111% of average, 30,000 acre feet. Pine View Reservoir, 126,000 acre feet at 112% of average. Now we'll slide down even farther into the Six Creek River drainage, and we'll look at 2 points there. The first being Little Cottonwood Creek at the outlet, 103% of average at 39,000 acre feet. And then City Creek at 7.7 thousand acre feet, or 100% of average. So still looking quite good. Now we'll slide over into the Duchesne. I'm sorry, we won't go to the Duchesne yet. We'll go to Utah Lake, and we'll look at Woodland, the headwater areas above Jordanelle at 110% of average, 110,000 acre feet. And then we'll look at Spanish Fork at Castilla at 101% of average, or 70,000 acre feet. And Castilla's really been a tough one in the past 5 years, but that's looking quite good. Now we'll go to the Duchesne, and we'll also look at some parts on the southern end of the green. But we'll start with Soldier Springs near Strawberry Reservoir at 97% of average, inflow at 69,000 acre feet. Duchesne to Taviona at 106% of average, 115,000 acre feet. And then we'll move over to Knight's Diversion at 108% of average at 210,000 acre feet. And then we'll slide down the Schofield Reservoir, it's behind my little thing there, at 112% of average of 46,000 acre feet. And then Joe's Valley Reservoir at 109% of average, or 61,000 acre feet. And all of those forecasts have increased since the official forecast has gone out. Now we'll look at the upper green, and we'll start with Flaming Gorge inflow at 126% of average, or 1.2 million acre feet, and that forecast has gone up. 106% of average for the green at Green River at 3.1 million acre feet, and again that forecast has gone up, and we'll take it. When you look at Lake Powell, we'll look at two areas coming into Utah, and the first one is Cisco, the Colorado, as it reaches the town of Cisco at 88% of average, or 3.9 million acre feet. And then Lake Powell itself at 91% of average, 6.5 million acre feet. Moving over to the Sevier, what we see are numbers that are less optimistic, but we'll see how this shakes out. Things can change pretty quick in the south. 71% of average at the headwaters area at Hatch, 34,000 acre feet. And then down at Marysvale at Paiute Reservoir, 69% of average, or 45,000 acre feet. Then we move over to the Duchesne, and we'll look at 2 points there. The headwater areas at the Virgin, near Virgin, at 78% of average, or 45,000 acre feet. And then down into Littlefield at 58% of average, or 38,000 acre feet. So there you have it. This is Brian McInerney again. There's my phone number. Give me a call if I can do anything for you guys. Send me an email if you'd like to see this data packaged in any different way. But really, nothing but positive waves as of this point. A word of caution, we hit the high pressure last February last year, but the global pattern doesn't look like we're going to do that. Let's keep our fingers crossed, and until the water supply briefing, we'll go from there. Thanks for taking the time to listen to this. We'll see you again. Bye.